What is going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I want to talk on Palantir. I want to start off by going over the data points and some expectations going into next week. But generally, I want to answer the question, is right now a good time to buy Palantir or not? So I'm going to go over all that. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with that, let's get right to it. So based on Friday, it went up 6.31%, had a high of $14.20. And as you can see, it is a new 52-week high. And it did bounce off of roughly this R3, so the fib levels. But generally speaking, behind the scenes with Palantir, it has a huge amount of momentum, which you can even tell based on the momentum indicator. Number of retail investors are just massively getting into Palantir like it's the next big thing, which kind of is. It's getting a huge amount of success from customers. So it just recently got this strike to the Ukraine deal. Over and above that, they're even having a live stream on June the 1st for their customer conference. So behind the scenes, they're definitely doing a lot of good things. But one thing that really troubles me is more so the technicals. Looking at Stochastic, it has been overbought for some time now. And when it comes down to a stock just going up without consolidating and making new, very strong support levels, it typically does go down equally as fast. So in my opinion, this is one of those stocks that bigger picture years from now, I think based on the Q1 earnings, they've really signaled that they are going to be a massive force to be reckoned with. But in the short term, if you're one of those individuals that likes to catch the exact bottom, I'll go over exactly how I see things playing out in the short term, but I'll go over some additional data points prior to that. So starting off, press releases. I've already covered most of them, the recent ones, of course. As far as SEC filings, there's nothing really new as of looks like May the 8th was the last one. But looking at the actual chart, this can be broken down into three segments. So this bump up was because of their Q1 earnings. This one was because of Cathie Woods. And this is now because of a little bit more FOMO and also because of a lot of the recent news, like I said, about them acquiring a lot of new customers. But keep in mind, like I mentioned, Stochastic is still very much overbought. So it does need to really pull back, in my own opinion, if it is going to have a lot of long-term success as far as the charting. Especially as well, one thing that could really damper it, these are all the company earnings, or at least the big ones for this week. And as you can see, it does look like on Wednesday after close, C3AI. So for instance, whenever there's a company that does have their earnings and they signal something is very wrong in the economy, that usually does trickle throughout and affects everyone else. So for instance, even though Palantir did have a fairly good earnings, if C3AI does signal that maybe they aren't necessarily moving in the right direction, because C3AI has gone up equally as much, if not a little bit more than Palantir. So if they do signal some scary things potentially coming down the pipeline, that might affect Palantir and cause people to start looking at the technicals and realize that it does need to pull back quite heavily. Just once again, my own opinion on that. I'm not a financial advisor, so you guys always do your own due diligence. But looking at the fib levels, this is a good indication of some very strong support and resistance points. So it being at 1365, it is currently trading between this R2 and R3. So 1314 is the next big support and 1444 is the next big resistance. So again, that's just something to play out. But from what you can tell, Cathie Woods has been getting in quite heavily over the last little bit, as has right here a lot of other institutions. Clearly, based on the bid and the ask, you can tell what is buys and what isn't. The majority of these from Friday is buys. And keep in mind, Fridays are normally quiet, typically, especially before a long weekend. So definitely that is something that you need to be aware of. But for instance, looking at options activity, I'll give you guys a quick overview of that. Based on just Friday, there was $65 million in call premiums versus $12 million in put premiums. So when it comes down to the options, a lot of people are assuming that this is going to continue to trend up. And of course, when it comes down to options, this doesn't necessarily move the stock price. It is just merely a sentiment. But still, if you're looking at a little bit more of a breakdown, so this is the grid of calls. So it does show, for instance, all the expiry dates, the strike prices, and so forth. it does indicate that most likely, if I'm going to be looking at the concentration, it is going to be around the $15 mark by around June. And potentially from here on out, it might be around the $18 range by November, potentially. So when it comes down to it, like I said, this is just merely a sentiment, but definitely based on the technicals, and if there is some continuation of positive news and so forth, then this could definitely continue to trend up. In my opinion, is right now a good time to buy? I would say technically no. I don't ever like to chase a stock. And right now, it does look like anyone getting in is technically just chasing it up. Of course, it's very sexy to see it running up, but generally speaking, I do feel it does need to consolidate to around the $12 range, on which it kind of did have a little bit more of a consolidation on this one day solely, but I do feel that it does need to go between the 11.50 and 12 before it potentially could trend back up once again. But based on Palantir's news, I don't think they'll have any difficulty with any PR, because it looks like they're getting a ton of customers, and each one of those could be pretty much justification for a nice tentative rally. But over and above this though, I just want to give you a quick overview of what shorts have been doing, because like I've indicated on my last couple of videos, there was some tentative squeeze potentially. So short score is currently 47, utilization is 13.39, so very low in that regard. 8.47% of the free float is being shorted, and that works out to be 152.56 million shares. And cost to borrow average is very small. So in reality, I don't see Palantir being a huge squeeze because of the data points here, but generally, like I've indicated on a couple of videos in the past, they actually did go through a little bit more of a squeeze. As you can see, I'll just kind of clear all of that. It did go from around 8% to 6% for the short interest. So definitely there was a tentative squeeze, but it looks like shorts did get in once again, because like I've mentioned already, just the technicals do not really justify it being this high. So if you're one of those individuals that believes in Palantir long term, then yeah, take advantage of these prices, because I think they've really flexed on how good they are going to be in the coming quarters and coming years. But if you're one of those individuals that likes to catch the bottom, I don't feel right now is a good time to buy. But again, these videos are strictly for entertainment purposes only. Let me know you guys' thoughts on all of this in the comments below. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, I appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to take advantage of this promo, link in the description below and also the comments. Sign up for a free account. You get one free stock. There's only a couple days left, so take advantage of free stuff. Free promos, you might as well as the best dollar value. So once again, I appreciate you guys watching, and hopefully everyone's having an amazing long weekend. And with that said, let's all make a lot of money on Palantir.